what we'll do, so we'll record this message. Hello to all of you who are not with us live. These fortunate gentlemen have joined in with the amazing Laura Marcos, who is going to speak into the pandemic that we're going through right now from a shamanic perspective, and then really talk about all of this from a really grounded perspective that helps us actually know what to do with our own energies. And I'm going to be getting this over live on Facebook while you're doing that, Laura. So I'm going to let you introduce yourself and come into the space in the way that is most authentic to you. And I look forward to having the world know on a bigger level, as to each of you who are also here too. We are all here for our own reason and season. And Laura, take it away.
My goodness. Well, Laura, thank you so much for having me. It's such an honor, and I'm so excited to talk about this topic. Hi, Gary, Nate, and Dean. Pleased to meet you. Would love to hear about how you're feeling. We'll certainly try to make this as interactive as possible. I'll try to pause and check in. But this topic is really beautiful, and it's such a perfect opportunity to speak on looking at this pandemic from a shamanic perspective and how we can get grounded. But first, for those of us that may not be familiar with this term of shamanism, it is the most ancient form of a spiritual practice across the globe. So it's not exclusive at all. From Asia to India to South America to the Native American tribes, there is a practice that is really founded on seeing the world as interconnected. So the basis of shamanism is basically everything is energy, and all energy is interconnected, and everything has a spirit. So when we see it in that way, we're like, wow, well, this energy of this pandemic, how was it created? And it is really, really empowering to see we created it. Our collective consciousness as a planet, that this is our medicine, this is our teaching, this is the energy that we needed to see. This virus and how energy is moving across the planet is really all of our responsibilities. So I think it's a very shamanic way to look at it, like, we did this. This is us. This is a reflection of what it is that we create. So looking at it, and how do we meld this physical world into the spiritual world, which brings me into the definition of alchemy, actually, because alchemy is, in just a little brief introduction into alchemy, it is a word that is Arabic, al-chem, which translates to from Egypt, and it is associated with those early predecessors of chemistry. But or the predecessors to chemistry, and looking at, like, how can we change a base metal to a precious metal such as gold. But when you really understand that, it is knowing what is the relationship between thought and form, because our thoughts really create reality. And when we really understand how powerful we are, then we know that we are co-creating the world together. And how can we shift it, right? Because there is something known as the 100th monkey effect, right? That the butterfly effect. The more of us that awaken to this way of seeing the world, this way of seeing, wow, how did I create the pandemic? That is going to give us an opening to really be empowered. Because the least empowering a place to be is a victimization. We're all, they did it. The the people behind the black curtain, who's behind the CDC, who's really running the government. Okay, that's fair. I would love to have those conversations. I'm excited to have those conversations. However, when we look at it like, okay, well, we allowed it, right? Like, when I think about all the things that we allow, how many things do we allow on a regular basis, And from big to small. So in the micro, in our personal lives, like all our ups and downs, the highs and lows, but also in our communities, in the collective consciousness, and to bring it to big, look at where are we at? Was anyone discovered to be responsible for JFK? Well, who was responsible for 9/11? Who was responsible for creating AIDS? All of these things. And since all of us collectively allow no one to be held responsible, we can tie that into this energy that's happening now. So a virus is created in a laboratory. Are we ever going to take our power and really hold ourselves accountable to find out the truth and bring that truth to the light so that we could shift the reality that we're all co-creating and co-experiencing.
Absolutely.
So I'll pause there because I know that that's a lot, but thoughts or questions before I speak a little bit more on this?
Anyone have?
Neil?
Yeah, Gary.
Neil, you want to go ahead?
Are you muted?
I can't hear you.
Am I muted?
I was just, we're all unmuted right now. So just as an FYI, I haven't muted everybody because I'm still learning how to work Zoom as the operator of this. So you're unmuted, and then please feel free to unmute yourselves. We can ask our questions so that this is interactive, and then just mute yourself back down, which if you're not familiar is just in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen there. So, all right. Thanks, guys. Okay, Gary, ask your question, please.
Oh, good. Hello, Laura. Thank you for your information there. With what's going on right now, it is a terrible thing. And it's a great pause that everybody's on it's not just in some third world country that this is happening, it's happening all over the world, right? And so everybody's on a level playing field. And in a way, this is causing people who really want to be together, who never didn't want to be close to people, now they want to be close to people because now they're actually being told 6 feet apart, right? You can't be out, you can't do this, you can't do that. It's all like, call it house arrest, the invisible bars, right? So some people, I like to say this, it's like a double prison because they're already trapped in their mind about life. And for somebody that's been suffering with depression, well, this is hard on them, right? Now, and I'll take it a step further. I worked in geriatrics for over 16 years in the past. And I got to see a lot of things that really hurt my heart about the heart of man. That these people who worked all their life, and I don't call them old, I call them golden bold with stories untold. Why? Because a lot of them passed away without telling their full story about life, right? So with that being said, these people are suffering even more because of this pandemic, right? Because they're compromised immune system and all that kind of stuff. But with all this going on, good things are going to come out of it. That's what I believe. Because at the end of the day, like it or not, we all need one another. No man is an island unto himself. You may want to think so, but you and I can only do so much. If I run, I can run fast by myself to the line, but if I want to go further, I have to go with you guys, right? We have to encourage one another in these times as much as we can with our gifts. We all bring something special. We're all units, right? We all come down to a body of one. If we use a couple of fingers, we're done. A toe, whatever. So my take on this whole thing is that I don't want to go back to the way it was. I don't.
Good thing it doesn't exist anymore, Gary.
No, because the thing is this, like I was outside today, and I looked at I felt like a kid in Toys R Us. Because like, whoa, and I'm moving around. But then I said to myself, wait a minute, man. I don't like this right now. As much as I am busy, because I'm a fitness trainer, minister, I'm busy. 2 of my gyms are closed, right? I don't go to see anybody, but in some strange way, I'm still being social. I'm still being social because we've got to share our heart. If you're passionate about something, you're going to let your passion go. Like everybody on here brings a certain gift and you bring it together, it creates something beautiful. So I'll stop there because I could keep going on like a runny nose.
Well, Gary, my goodness, I want to thank you so much for your service. Thank you for your ministry. Thank you for your work in geriatrics. Thank you for your heart and the presence that you're holding for those that are around you, because you are leading with your heart, and I can feel that, and I'm so grateful. And that's exactly where we want to tap into the wisdom. We want to drop in, and there are going to be so many gifts. While yes, there is a lot of struggle, right? We've got a lot of people that are in increased fear that they're experiencing, the anxiety, the depression. We're hearing stories about increased child abuse, increased domestic violence. So there's all these things, right? But wow, what an opportunity. This pandemic, some people I hear about it referred to as a portal or as a gateway, right? So we're going from one world into another where the future is unknown. But I think it's really important to look at, well, what was in the past that we weren't really focusing on? Because the people that are transitioning, the people that are having those challenges and now have this gift of the pandemic because it's amplified for them. It is amplified for them. So this theme of taking responsibility, if your immune is compromised, did you research about the food that you eat? Did you research about the medications? You know, I think that a lot of people, we've been conditioned, and so I want to honor everyone's journey as much as I can, because I know as well, when I grew up as a child, my mom was a chemist. She was so excited about science. There's antibiotics. This is great. They have these magic pills that'll just make you go away. And she from a very heart-centered place, had these great intentions when she gave me all these antibiotics and had my tonsils removed as a child, and all these, and we're learning a lot more. Thanks to the technology and the internet and communication, we have so much information at our fingertips. Well, what is the side effect of long-term use of certain medications? It's everyone's individual responsibility. So in my stance, I feel that it's very empowering to honor the individual. So in geriatrics, if the wise woman or wise man inside you decided that the path for them in their expression was to take every pill the doctor gave them without questioning them, we're going to honor them as they are and let them do my grandfather died from chemotherapy and he chose it. He really chose to go out in that way, and really just respect and honor that, because what happens to us, I find I'm practicing becoming very aware of hero, victim, savior mentalities, because those are paradigms that we get stuck and then we end up bypassing. No hero, no savior. Everyone is sovereign. Everyone is independent. Everyone has an opportunity to take responsibility for their conscious life. And I think creating a conscious life, that is a decision. So now, in looking at the pandemic as a portal, where were we before? Because I know a lot of people, and it's great, I think this is one of the phenomenal gifts of the pandemic, people are finally talking about 5G. That's me included. I never really did my due diligence on 5G until this pandemic. And thank God, I am so grateful that I'm learning more about what the potential damage is, because I'm coming from the school system. I worked outside of New York City for 12 years with at-risk teens and their families, and the special needs population doubled in my community in 10 years. Nobody talks about the causes. Nobody go, and it's just like, wow, that's how powerful our conditioning is, that no one is questioning authority. No one is talking about the massive, all the new diseases, all the rise in all sorts of issues, right? The rise of anxiety, the rise of the suicide rate in young people. So there's so many things to talk about, and that is, I think, one of the greatest gifts of the pandemic. Let's talk about 5G. Let's talk about fracking, because I saw a phenomenal video that really resonated with me, for example. So every time we introduce a new frequency, right? So we know a remote control is 2.4 megahertz. Remote control, microwave. So it's a free license. So for those of you that are not aware yet, they're making 5G free. So we're going from a 2.4 frequency of a remote control to 60 megahertz frequency in the 5G. And if you start to read on all the effects of this electromagnetic pollution on the body, we better get really, really proactive if they're installing that in schools and in hospitals, because we're going to see a rise in every single health issue that you can think of. Kids with heart arrhythmias, ADHD increasing, all of this stuff is going to happen. But this is my thing. Why aren't we taking responsibility? Why are we just like, oh, what can I do? Because, we have to really now step into that peaceful warrior, because you could see me. I'm not going to not be happy. I'm not going to not have a good day, but it is my job to become educated so that I can be the best advocate and ambassador for a planet that is a safe space for children everywhere. you know, and that a world that's worthy of us to really share and be our best selves. So I know this topic is also about getting grounded. So that's part of it. The getting grounded in this is taking responsibility, learning all the things, what are the things that we're curious about? And this is on the macro level, on the things like the 5G and the fracking and the GMOs and all of that. And also the individual level, how am I out of balance or out of alignment or integrity in myself as an individual, with my friends, with my family, with my community? Because every time we introduce a new frequency, there's a new virus. 3G, you know, like the SARS and all that, 4G, 5G, more virus. Every time we introduce a new frequency, the earth needs to recalibrate itself, because what's going to stay here the longest and is going to survive, out-survive us all, is the earth. It has such a profound wisdom that it knows it's going to shake itself out. It's going to have an earthquake. It's going to there is going to be a fire or a tsunami or all these natural disasters, because the earth is constantly seeking balance. And because that's where we lack the greatest balance, right? We're balance within the self, balance and honoring the giving and taking, right? We have left hand and right hand. You will see statues like this, right? That represent the balance between giving and receiving. So how in integrity are we in giving and receiving within our individual selves and the earth as a being, as a form of intelligence, as our mother, and really seeing it from that space. So we want to practice also, as our mother would with us, compassion for everybody that's on their walk. Everybody's in a different place. You know, I've got contacts that are like literally with the mask, super scared, super isolated. I spoke with a family that they were isolated. They had a 3-floor house, and one family member was on each floor. And my goodness, this is huge. It's huge that we've created now a world where we're even isolating ourselves from our own family members. It's big.
But that's
You know, the biggest pandemic is fear right now as well.
Pardon?
Fear.
Yeah.
Fear is a pandemic. And
Is
the
the
thing
pandemic.
is, why is there fear? Because there's no understanding. If you get to understand and you get to validate one another, it changes the whole scope of everything. Right? Even myself, there's a lot I didn't know about myself growing up, right? I didn't have my father around. I never met my father. My mother wasn't around, but I got to understand, and that just changes everything. So when we get to understand and validate each other's feelings, this 5G thing, it's crazy. You know, my grandma, she never wanted a microwave. We've tried several times when she was alive, and she goes, "You're wasting your time because it's no good." Well, I guess she was right, because a microwave is minimal. Now we're talking it's 5G. And the way how you explain that, Laura, my friend was talking about this 5G. He's looking at all these things. Gee, that's 5G. That's dangerous. And what's going to happen?
Yeah,
You're going to go into the hospital, and it's going to be mandatory that we're going to have to take this shot. I don't want that shot. No. I don't want to be that robot. I don't want that, because I know that we're going to go to a cashless society. I know it.
Oh, what society?
Cashless.
Cashless, because money carries a lot of bacteria and germs. And everybody is a legit germophobic right now, okay? So imagine, you go into the store, I know people are actually washing their money. Yeah. Believe that or not, okay? Because they're messed up. I go to the store, I forget my mask like this. This is crazy. I don't want to live like this. And I don't want my children or my grandchildren. That's what I'm concerned about, my grandchildren.
When money is gone, though, it eliminates an option for it to then be part of the chipping society we've seen on science fiction's movies, where cash, you've got your phone, you've got your card. Your card doesn't work, your phone doesn't work. Oh, I've got a backup. Once the backup's gone, though, then we become the ones that have to get vaccinated in order to have the chip. Because they say, and Laura said this too, there are nanoparticles that are in the chemtrails that are being dropped on us, that are loaded with metals, that are activated by the 5G, both activated and deactivated by it. we're being sprinkled with exactly what will keep us asleep. The fluoride. There's never been any tests that say that it actually does any prevention. It's just all the medical documents say the fluoride is good to be in toothpaste and in our water, but those are ultimately the same things that calcify the pineal gland. So speak into that if you can, Laura.
Well, I'm with you. I think that's really important part of all the education that we need to each take responsibility for. Look at multiple sources, have conversations in community like we're having now, and feel what resonates. Because I do think, like, for example, one of my passions is to help people develop multisensory awareness. And just to give you an idea, I recently moved from outside New York City to Sedona, to Arizona, to the mountains. And I recalibrated to the frequency here. So it's a lot of open space. There's a lot of iron in the air from the mountains. I literally, when I fly back home to New Jersey, and I'll be chill, I'll be, writing in my journal on the way. I'll be kind of, at the minute I land in New Jersey, my body goes, I'm noticing now. I'm not saying it's, I'm just saying that I'm becoming more aware that my body is becoming more sensitive to frequency. But when I was in New Jersey, I wasn't fully aware. And now when I travel, I've developed more of a sensitivity. That's just an experience to illustrate how powerful frequency is, because the amount of electricity. So everything has, again, if we're talking about looking at things like a shamanic perspective, everything has energy, everything has a frequency, everything has intention. So if we look, and if I can just add this little piece in here, Gary, money is just energy too. It is evil. Everything is thought and form, right? So if we're saying it's evil, that it's dirty, we don't need to do that. We can actually just see it as energy that we're just exchanging. It's just kind of like a language, because we need to find the languaging, because that's how we understand. That's how we're going to create new paradigms where it's really conscious communities that are going to be the ones that thrive in the decades to come. People that are respecting the earth, and abundance is limitless. And when we start to shift the consciousness that we can actually have unbelievable amounts of income working from a place of love. You don't do it for the money, you do it for love, and money comes. It's because it's a vibration, and you must believe, because I kind of like just observe this with people and with my contacts and my networking groups. How does the flow of money, what are your beliefs? And if you believe money is evil, it actually really has a hard time finding its way to you, because you are rejecting it. So with that, we're learning with this pandemic, what a beautiful opportunity to learn what alignment feels like in our body, learn to make more conscious decisions when we shop. I actually just washed my deck, and at first I was about to put on a Mop and Glow, and a friend of mine was like, is that eco-friendly? Because that's going to go right to the plants, and there's a beautiful snake that's living under my deck. I'm like, I don't want to poison anything. So I go and I get, all these little micro decisions. Everything is going into the water. So every time you support a conscious company, even if you're spending 50 cents more, $1 more, this is going to pay off. It's an energy exchange. So seeing everything as finding your ways to get alignment, finding your ways to get to have a practice. Wow. Surrounding yourself with positive people that are not operating from a paradigm of fear, while still holding a space of compassion for those in fear. I'm practicing that myself now, because I'm in a completely different paradigm. And on this topic of 5G and the EMF and all the toxicity in our food, the pandemic has inspired me to take my immune care to the next level. I'm reverse aging people. I'm getting younger. I'm like looking at pictures of myself because of the kinds of care. And that might have to be another podcast, Laura, because I'm doing such amazing things with my immune system, learning so much. I'm actually I'm an herbalist as well. I've been working with natural medicines and healing myself holistically since 2005, and making my own medicine since 2012. And it's so empowering. And then taking that to the next level to actually work, for example, with the kind of medicines that indigenous tribes used to survive the plague and the conquests of the Spanish invasion. So they were dying when the foreigners landed on their shores. And I feel so immensely blessed, and know that this is next level. We need to, for example, this bracelet here, this is EMF protection. So I'm putting, 5G protection in my home. I'm wearing I wear shungite, I'll wear orgonite, because I'm taking care of my field, so that I'm constantly, our cells are constantly being reborn. And I want my, telomeres, I want my axons and dendrites, I want them to have maximum support from chlorophyll, from all the different immune building plants that I'm working with. And I feel completely immune to COVID. I'm just not an energetic match. I'm just not, it's just not coming. So living from that paradigm is extremely it's super empowering. I'm not out of touch. I'm really aware. I've been watching so many different videos, and I'm just, and I'm also very blessed that I live in a town where the population is 18,000. So it's a small town with a lot of tourists, by the way. But yeah, there's so many practices, and I know that we're probably coming close to our time here. So I just want to take a breath and open it up here for any questions or comments, suggestions.
I don't know whether it's going to shut the meeting off at 7:30, because it would only let me open it for half an hour. So I'm good to stay on significantly longer than what the meeting time would allow us to keep it open for. So that being said, if somebody has a question, I know over on Facebook there was a comment that this virus is a rogue virus because it's not affected by weather changes, it said, which I hadn't heard before. And absolutely, it's a lab virus, it's not genetic. And then those were the only comments that had come in before I switched back over. So anybody else have any insights or questions that you guys wanted to put to Laura? And certainly we can bring this over onto Facebook, and then we'll have this video to be able to share with anybody that wanted to listen back.
Nate, you want to say anything?
Yeah, just because I won't be able to join the Facebook, I have to get back to work here, unfortunately.
Okay.
What other tips for grounding do you have? I'm in New York City, and it's really chaotic here, and
the jungle, concrete jungle.
Getting a little bit poisoned by like being inside a lot, and just losing myself to like the computer, honestly, and trying to balance like I don't have coronavirus, but I have corona induced like behavior issues, I guess you could call it.
COVID-induced behavior issues.
Oh, right.
Differentiate.
Yeah.
COVID and corona are different.
Yeah.
COVID is patented. Corona is the virus that's been around.
Oh, right. The human coronavirus. Yeah, I've seen that. Because like old Lysol bottles say effective against human coronavirus. Yeah.
Yeah. Coronavirus is very real, but COVID is too, but it was the thing that
I don't know that it's actually a thing. I mean, I'm not 100% sure yet if it's not just a media campaign, but yeah. But I guess what to do about the resulting like challenges of isolation and just being cooped up all the time.
So Nate, my goodness, thank you so much. My heart goes out to you. I spent a good 40 years growing up outside the Lincoln Tunnel. So I'm very familiar with the energy there. I'm just going to give you some simple things. One thing to do that can help you ground at any time, bring your awareness to your feet. Feel supported by the chair underneath you. Just even bring your awareness to the fact that the earth is holding you right now. So that's just a drop, right? Next is little things like going into sensory perception. This is going to calm and support the nervous system. So even in your home, try to see things like you're seeing them for the first time. Look at the shape, look at the texture of things, look at the color. Feel the temperature of the air on your face. A really cool technique to help you ground is now focus on your right side of your hearing and see how far out to the right you can hear. Go as far out to the right as you can. And once you hear as much as you can to that direction, now bring it 360 and go all the way to the left. So imagine that you're doing, and you can get better at this by practicing. Focus on your feet, feel the air on your face, and then drop into the sound. and go as far out as you can. And it's going to help really soothe your nervous system. If you could practice silence in that way, 2 minutes a day, every time you feel stressed, you're going to really be upgrading your immune system and tapping into the field of infinite possibilities. So people that practice silence regularly have immense benefits on every level. Something easy as well, basil. Basil is a tremendous remedy, antiviral. Go buy some organic basil. I'm sure there'll be plenty at the supermarket because people aren't buying vegetables, for goodness sakes. Go buy basil and boil it. Have basil every single day. Basil is an adaptogen, so it helps the body deal with long-term stress. The more that you work with it, the more that you will benefit. It helps you sleep. It's antibacterial. It's antiseptic. It is immune boosting. If somebody comes into my house in a bad mood, may I make you a tea? And then I'll boil some basil leaves if they have a headache, if they're feverish. This is actually also a remedy for babies when they have fever. Make basil water. It's actually freaking delicious, and it's going to help. It's very helpful for stress. So combine, sit down, have your basil tea. If I'm going to have, for example, I did a video shoot where I was going to be doing videos all day long. Basil tea all day long. Just made huge batches of it. And the more that you steep it, obviously it gets stronger. So the more basil leaves and the longer the steep, the stronger the medicine. So if you want
and you make that with fresh basil?
Absolutely. I'm giving you one of the easiest approaches to working with basil possible, like literally just grabbing the leaves. Yes, we can work with dried leaves, but the fresh ones are nice. Yeah, the fresh ones are amazing. So that's a really beautiful practice for supporting stress and also protecting your immune from the virus, is working with basil.
Thank you so much.
Wow.
I'm going to definitely do that.
Yeah.
Can you use ginger with that basil?
Absolutely, yes. I highly recommend turmeric, ginger. There's something. Yeah, we can. Yeah, this is great. This is exactly where we want to go. So a golden latte. We have, you could put ginger, turmeric, cinnamon, cardamom, nutmeg, pepper, if you're okay with pepper. And you can bring all of that to oil. You can use fresh ginger and fresh turmeric and fresh everything, or you can use powdered, slightly less potent, but still you'll get plenty of medicine. This is called the golden chai, and in winter, there are people that follow Ayurvedic traditions. This is their tonic. This is what they do on a daily basis. So I actually got that recipe from the doctor who makes the recipes for yogi tea. I saw a video with him and he's like, this is the chai that I drink every morning. So you can have it with milk, coconut milk, water. You know, it will probably taste a little bit better with coconut milk.
My grandmother would be rolling in her grave because my grandmother's like a bush doctor. She had bush for everything from the islands, and even like here, she would say, all this stuff people are taking, we used to have that in the garden. I mean, so all these things, what you're saying, it's taking me back to my roots in a kind of way. I mean, I started using ginger a lot, garlic, and is it turmeric? Yeah, but move over Zambuca. What is it called? Zambuca? What is it called? What's that herbal drink?
Kombucha.
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 I'm going to call this bambucha. This picture here. I mean, like, this is amazing. It's uplifting, and it's I can feel it already. I can feel your 10G, by the way. 5G got nothing on you. You're on a different planet. I mean, I'm looking at all you different individuals. Like the two ladies here. Nate, I don't know about you, but there's some serious frequency going on up there at the top. Okay? One is the silent killer, and the other one, she's out the cannon, but she's got the silencer. Laura's going to fire.
I guess I'll just have to get down.
No,
please. We're all just sacred mirrors of each other. Thank you so much for getting excited about something that's known as the wise woman tradition. It's that wisdom of the grandmother that just looks at you and says, what you really need is some hot milk and sugar before you go to bed. So that's an innate wisdom that's inside of us, but we've been conditioned to give our power to an authority. So how interesting, for example, that it was just like, we don't question, like I had my tonsils removed when I was 5 years old. It was just the culture of the time that said, oh, if you have a lot of throat infections, we should have a procedure that you should remove your tonsils. Your tonsils is your first line of defense for any throat infection. Because I have my tonsils removed, I recently had a doctor say the lymphatic issue that you've dealt with for decades is because you had your tonsils removed. But my mom, again, was so excited that there wasn't a procedure to actually help me have my throat. But this is the thing that we're reclaiming. We're reclaiming our intuition. We're reclaiming our divine intelligence. We're reclaiming our birthright. And it must start with inquiry, which is not what we learn in school. It is not what we learn in school. So we actually have to put effort into reprogramming ourselves to question everything. And it is from that place of inquiry that we become the alchemists of our life, because sometimes the questions is all that we need to create a new level of consciousness. The questions themselves are medicine. So when we start invoking and inviting, wow, well, is 5G related to this virus? Is is a frequency causing potential earthquakes? Is the same people that are planned 9/11, or is it the same people that did this? And yeah, I think that if you really are just seeking truth, and then you learn how to find or feel resonance, feel the resonance of what truth feels like in your body, because truth is has no ego. I actually don't care if I'm wrong. Like, okay, the government planned 9/11, they didn't plan 9/11. I don't care. I just want the truth, because we can't move forward and co-create the world through this portal, life after the pandemic. What is it going to look like? And if we aren't asking good questions, and if everyone's just going to listen to the dominant story that's being told by a media that's bought, the media is bought, it's 90% owned by corporate interests. They have an interest that is not the interest of the collective. It's not the interest of the we. And forgive me for speaking so clearly, because this is my truth and how I resonate, but you should absolutely question everything. But this is the truth that I've come to, that there are agendas. It's just so much evidence of illness, of dis-ease, of lack of alignment, that is due to lack of inquiry, due to lack of we consciousness. Yeah, I'm really devoting myself as much as possible in my work as an educator to help create that kind of we consciousness with parents, with young people. So actually, I have a whole series of workshops for kids and for parents under the name Alchemy for Everyone. So my website's actually alchemyforeveryone.org, and I'm on Alchemy for Everyone on Facebook, and I'm launching a new course called Parenting Future Leaders, because I want parents to understand that we need to have these kind of conversations, because it's up to us. We cannot wait or allow the school system to form and create the mind of a young person, because after serving as an inner city school counselor for over a decade, and tracking kids and seeing how many of even the honor students, even the super well put together, responsible young people feeling depressed, disassociated, disconnecting, having health issues, 22, 23. And I say, this is my responsibility. Where is how am I failing them? Because I am part of a system that's not preparing them actually to be happy, to thrive, to know how to have the energetic understanding of how they can create their lives when they actually sit at the seat of creating their avatar. We're actually, the school system has made us, unless we reclaim our power, schools are really essentially, again, a general statement, a conveyor belt for corporate America, for people that can follow directions and take prescription medications without taking responsibility for their health. I mean, it really is that, it's black and white. Sorry to say it so bluntly, but we must reclaim what it is that we want for ourselves, for our lives, for our sovereignty, for our alignment, because if we don't, we're always victim. We are always in victim consciousness. If we don't say, okay, I chose to buy that. I chose to buy into those medicines. I chose to live in a town where, well, they were going to put, they're going to put toxic in the water. Bayonne has the #1 autism births in the country. I don't know how many people are talking about that.
Where?
What's in the water? But again, because we're not conditioned to question. So this is the big theme, and I hope the big takeaway, as well as, you know, the self-care that's required and creating more conscious communities, because we do need support. It's so important to be with like-minded people. If you're surrounded by people that are full of anxiety and full of fear and depression and I'm gonna die, and, you know, it impacts you. It's not possible for it not to impact you. That's the world, and that's the lens that you're experiencing. So how can you love and feel compassion and honor those people on their journey while you reclaim your light? And then you make that light contagious, because that's what we are for each other right now. We're all beacons of light, helping and supporting each other by having these kind of open-hearted conversations. So.
Unquestionably. And so we are quarter to the top of the hour that we've now shared together. And I am grateful for all of your insights, and to really also go back to the lack of attachment. And, you know, so oftentimes when you don't have the ego in being right, you don't really care. It's just, this is my truth. This is the best I've come up with. I'm sure that it'll change as better things come into my awareness. But for now, this is the best I've got. And with your experiences, and going back to the topic of grounding and shamanism and supporting yourself through it, you know, one of the things that I have openly been struggling with, if I'm honest, is finding the balance for hearing about all of what is going on, and how angering it is, working at a grocery store on the front lines. I get to actually talk to the people that are, in seclusion, which is what, or segregation, which is ultimately what quarantine is called in the prison system or the mental health system, of which I'm more familiar. And it's just like, they're coming through, and somebody said that one of their connections is a janitor or a maintenance person at a school, and they're not allowed in the building until a certain time while they're installing 5G in all of these schools. And then I'm talking to another mother who's saying that her 16-year-old daughter was diagnosed with diabetes type 1 when she was 10 years old, and that ever since, she has had to wear the monitor because she can't tell her blood sugar levels herself. She needs the computer to do it, which is very much connected to the AI way that we're going as a society. And so it just kind of struck me in that, you had said, you have a choice, and ultimately, if they really were, and they being whoever is the ultimate mastermind behind this grand plan that we're all sucked into, if they really did care, then we wouldn't have the GMO foods, and we wouldn't have, goldfish treats for kids having the highest GMO rates. And other big and obvious, like GMOs and Cheerios, or goldfish chips or plants, goldfish, the little crackers, goldfish crackers, and Cheerios have the highest amounts of GMOs out of all the foods, because those are the ones that we give to our kids as a little treat when we want to keep them quiet while we're doing something else. And it's just like, if they cared, that wouldn't have been possible. But to keep the kids not able to sleep, or not able to heal, or not able to think clearly, makes it so they become dependents on the system. They become cogs in the wheel that are part of the system. It's like the school system only was developed when Ford needed workers in the plant. So train them how to use the bell, train them when to, raise your hand when you've got something to say, training. It's all a training program. It's all conditioning. And then when you can see it for what it is, and having been to, the mental health system myself, and seen the back end of the system that is designed to save itself, there is a lot of passion that comes into that, the angry mother that, I may not be a mother to physical beings, but I feel very much part of the collective, in the lack of personal responsibility, and then also the tribal responsibility that actually pushes the individuals out. and will sacrifice the individual in order to keep the tribe strong. But the tribe is only as strong as the one that's leading. And ultimately, it's like that meme says about how the sheep were always trained to fear the wolf, but in the end, it's the shepherd that eats them. And
Wow.
right? And so,
Good.
like, okay, so
Can you say that again? Could you say that again?
the sheep are trained to fear the wolf when it is the shepherd that eats them in the end.
It's very, very, very much, I think, a phenomenal metaphor for what's happening now. And Laura, I'm with you. I want to say thank you for sharing that, because anger is appropriate. Anger is appropriate. And I think that it is part of us getting inspired and ignited to create change. We need to go through some of that anger. And there have been days that I'm here, stunted, just stunted, processing the magnitude of what it is that we are going through. But my focus is always to recalibrate myself and my frequency to peace. Because when I'm at peace, I can have the clearest lens, the clearest perspective to find action from a place of power. So we don't teach young people how to create peace or how to feel peace. So if I know that that's my goal, every day that's my practice. How do I recalibrate to peace? I'm going to go walk. I'm going to go connect with nature. I'm going to admire the birds that come outside my house. I'm going to water the garden. I'm going to plant, sage and tomatoes. But that's what I'm doing. Gardening. Get your hands in the earth. What a wonderful way to ground. So that we have to get out of our heads. And that's why I'm suggesting practice silence because it is loud. The frequency of this pandemic, the frequency of what we're all collectively experiencing, the cognitive dissonance that we may be undergoing, and how do we negotiate those moments, my goodness, where, I'm going to be honest, I'm not practicing social distancing. I'm just not there. I'm just like, I'm not going to do that. This is a flu.
So what?
And because I've healed every single thing that I've gotten naturally, and I believe in my ability to heal anything, I'm not going to live in fear. I'm just not. So how do I negotiate being and sharing space with people that are like hanging out, you want to hang out with me with a mask sitting 10 feet from me? Okay. We're just living in different paradigms, and it's okay. I'm not here to convince anybody of anything. However, can we talk a little bit about what we're going through as a collective, and what are your beliefs about healing? What are your beliefs about the immune system? What are you really scared of? What are you really, really scared of? And when you can identify that and use words, and then hopefully practice shifting it, because what are we really scared of? Death? That's a great conversation. So I'm not going to get into that, because then I'll really start talking more.
I was away with words, right? So when it comes to peace, if you don't have peace, you're living in pieces. Thinking will cause your brain to start shrinking. Right? When we unite, we ignite. I'm just a spark, but with you all, we can be a flame.
Oh.
Unity in a community brings opportunity to share because we care. And there's the currency, but then there's the heart currency. Right? And that's where the heart, everybody has a heart, and everybody understands giving from the heart. The heart is what moves the hand, what moves our feet. And when we extend love and not smile, I say people in the fitness industry, if you don't use your muscles, they atrophy, right? I'm at my expo that I go to every year. Last year, I just caught myself, and I'm looking at all these fit bodies. I said, wait a minute, but a lot of them are suffering from facial atrophy because they ain't smiling. You ever think about that? People don't talk about that until you say, what are you, stupid? No, take a good look. Take a good look around you. You saying, well, you know what? I can hang around anybody. I'm not practicing social distancing. You know what I'm saying? I'll tell you what you got. You got mustard seed faith. You got mustard seed faith. Everything starts, if you don't have faith, you got to live. You got to believe. If you believe what you believe, I'm not going to say, but Laura, you crazy. Don't you see what they're saying? Laura will be like, yeah, I see what they're saying, but I know what I believe. Two different things. I'm going to validate that you don't want to wear the mask. Laura doesn't want to wear a mask. Nate, well, he gonna bend down and hide and say, I'm out of here. You know what I mean? Everybody's going to scat the way they want to scat. But at the end of it all, we need each other, like it or not. Right? If you fall down, I'm going to pick you up. I'm going to lift you up. And it's ironic that my ministry brand is called Fit for the Call. I didn't know it was going to be big like this because I've been speaking to many people. Gee, can you pray for me? Or can you do this? And that's the thing I love about my fitness ministry, because it covers everybody. Because the gym is their church, that's their place of worship. Some people don't go to church. No, it's all good. But fitness to witness with love. And that's how it works. I'm not preaching a sermon. I'm just sharing my heart and building a relationship before I build muscle.
That's what we're all doing, really, in
That's
our own way, on our own stage. And whether we're working with other people directly or whether we're just taking ourselves through this life and interacting with the people that are in our direct space, I want to honor the fact that we'll end the call around 8 o'clock Eastern, so in just like 5 or so minutes. But one of the things that I really love about how you touched on it, Gary, and it brings it back to what Laura was saying about heart and social distancing and the unwillingness to succumb to the social distancing requirements that were being given. And if they had called it physical distancing, I would have been more willing to comply, because physical distancing means that there is space required between another human and myself in order to keep us both safe. That I could get on board with. And at first I did for a bit, simply because I live with, my grandpa who's in his 80s, and I wanted to more than anything. So I was aware at first, and then it became more clear to me about social distancing being a very different paradigm and program, because social distancing is then the conditioning of teaching us to be afraid of each other. It's of the social aspect compared to the physical aspect. And so then it made me less inclined to play the game that I'm being sold. And though I have to reinforce it at work, I say all of this, and I want Laura to finish and tack on to this, where it'll tie into the 5G. But the point is that we have magnetic spheres around us, toroidal fields around us. We are the center of the apple core. I say that in many of my meditations and other things that I guide people through. And ultimately, it's like you've got the figure 8, the infinity sign, coming into and through you, up and around and back through, and just a continuous field of energy that's coming through. And that's all around us in a larger than 6 foot distance parameter. And then you have a smaller, same matrix field, the toroidal field, from the heart all around in the same way. When we are with someone else in person, we have the overlapping and the enmeshment of our energetic fields that are happening at the same time. When we're doing this, we are able to do that to an extent, though there is a disconnect in the energy field simply due to proximity. With 5G, how does that fit into the distortions that are already taking place in our ability to merge when the kids are in schools, where kids are the ones that have the power? That's why they were born in smaller bodies, because anything that is powerful beyond measure must be made to seem insignificant. It's why, when Jesus was born in a manger, so they say, it wasn't to put mangers on a map, to quote Carolyn Mace.
Laura, I love that you brought this back to the heart and back to Christ consciousness, because I do think that us tapping into our own hearts and leading with love is going to help us have that beautiful field that you're talking about, that is going to help us keep our bodies as healthy as possible and our well-being. Eating with gratitude, making all of our thoughts a prayer is going to help keep our frequency really solid as well as partnering with, you know, these plants, the basils and the turmerics and the gingers and all of that. But it's framing it because I love so much. I'm going to talk about 5G, and I'm going to talk about 5G from such a calm place that you're going to want to hang out with me, because it feels like honey, even though we're talking about 5G. So that is really like the opportunity, like, oh, let's talk about death. And I'm going to be smiling and joyful and how great it's going to be. So I think when we frame it, I'm going to have difficult conversations, and I'm going to find the way, because it's an art. It really is a practice, and I'm practicing all the time. How can I say things in a way that I can speak from my heart to another person's heart? You know, if I could bypass the mind, let it register there, but let it go through the heart first. So I'm trying, because I know sometimes, like, I just want to be myself. I just want to be honest and say, it's fucked up, people. Let's address this. But really, I'm practicing staying like this all the time. And thankfully, you know, something I love to do is feel this peace that we're talking about, so that we're not in pieces, as Gary has shared. And really, because I love, I am a warrior of light. Because I love, I'm a guardian of children and a guardian of the earth. And that is a really powerful place to be.
You know, I'm a Christian, no doubt. And one of the things is, we could have all these gifts, but none of them means anything if we do not have love. Because love ties everything together. Everything. But, Laura, there is no cure for what you have. It cannot be cured. You cannot be tamed. Do you want me to tell you what the bug is that you have? Would you like to know?
I'm listening. Yes.
In capital letters, a love bug. Right? And the way how you are, I celebrate your life, but you are on a fearless mission. Fearless. So I celebrate you. I'm praying for you because you're unique. You're unique, Laura. Mr. Nate, you're unique. I thank you guys for this. Back to the currency. This was definitely hard currency, because there's no price tag on this. If this was a conference, people would be paying big money for this, okay? I mean, this is like no nonsense, man. This is like the real deal, raw, not seasoned. Just bam, bam. If you don't like it, don't chew it. We have a saying, when you give somebody advice, we like to say, chew the meat and throw away the bone.
Yeah.
So chew on what's good and throw away the rest. But I thank you again. I didn't even know. My phone went off. I got a meeting. I said, a meeting? What meeting did I schedule? And then after, Laura is asking me certain questions. Well, how you tied into this? I'm like, wow. Well, Laura, I'm a part of hope, right?
Right.
But look at it's crazy, because look what I got almost a year and a half ago. Unity in the community brings opportunity, and I'm adding hope to help other people persevere.
Beautiful.
Isn't that amazing?
Mm-hmm.
So when we come together, we bake something real nice.
Indeed.
With Chef Laura, we can't go wrong. I'm only saying.
Well, with the Laura times 2, it's a Laura multiplied here. So this is really.
I want to call you double L, Laura Love, on purpose.
Right.
So when you're in Arizona, you said?
Yeah, I live in the mountains of Sedona.
Well, you know what? I think I have to come over some. Is it Bailey tea you said? Bailey,
It's what?
You said Bailey, or what kind of leaves did you say? Was it Bailey? Bailey that you said to boil?
Basil.
I'm not.
Basil. She said to
Basil.
Basil.
She said to boil basil.
Basil.
So I'm coming for some basil tea after this pandemic is done. How about that?
All right, Gary.
Okay. So thank you guys. It is 8:01, so it has been a full hour. And Gary, as you had mentioned, Laura is very much a unique soul, and the moment that we got to connect in Arizona, I knew it. And the more that we had connected, and the more that our paths were crossed at that event, it was very apparent to me that she has a mission here that is far bigger than her,
Mhm.
as does everyone else on this call.
She,
And
she's
it,
got, she's got a soul glow going on. She don't have to. Yeah, I'm telling you what I see.
yeah,
I see things, Laura. I have
Very
this.
grateful, and I hope I'm always just reflecting you back to you. So thank you so much. Thank you.
absolutely. Yeah. So I wanted to make sure that everyone had an opportunity to hear some of her thoughts. And this time was a bit different just because I'm still getting used to Zoom. And until we know our technologies and are able to use them wisely, then we'll just blunder through as best as what we can. And that is very reflective of the 5G state that we are entering into as well. You know, it's being put up, you know, in the UK, somebody sent me pictures of, you know, the facts that they've got the 5G in the lamps and they're at such a short distance. It literally is like now we're living in a microwave society. Not only is it people want instant and it's just pop up quickly, now we're literally living in that atmosphere within our everyday. And so it is by coming together, and it is by sharing what's actually happening so far as what we see it,
You know,
as far as what we've been exposed to so far, to then be able to actually soothe some of these discomforts in order to get ourselves to a place where together we can stand united from a solid foundation instead of needing to fight back. Generally, we feel like we need to fight back when we're backed into a corner, but if we're backed into each other, who are creating the corner, which is the centerpiece where the children go, within the animal kingdom, where we are able to put our backs against the other strong men and women of our community, which is global. And we're able to take it back to the fact that we are in this together and that we don't need to try to figure this out alone. And yet there are people that do have different agendas. And it is a time where the timelines are converging and then branching off. It's the 3D turned 5D. We're moving out of the 5D or the 3D into the 5G. That gives us the opportunity to move into a 5G reality that marries our multidimensionality, or that keeps us stuck in an old paradigm with a new microwave system that fries us and commits us to the AI system, unless we're actually willing to think into and then feel into what we're going through and to talk to other people too, which is the intention for this interview and the others that I'll do too. So Laura, you look like you're thinking and
Laura,
No,
excuse
forgive me. I have a window in front of me, and I've got
Laura,
like musicians coming over. I'm about to have a concert in my house.
Laura, can you beam her back over like Scotty, please? Let's go back to she's on a Star Trek mission or something. She's like, you just left the room.
Well, no, I just see some people arriving at my home because I'm about to have some live music.
Okay, well then that is the end.
Oh, wow.
And
Are you kidding me?
I will also
Yes.
say to you that I've got some friends over on Facebook that said, word, I like what she's saying, getting chills over here. I can see the changes in people around me because of my light. I really do. We truly are a beacon, Robert says. Who is this lady? She's amazing. She is me. You got smiley faces. That lady got only because they couldn't see you, Laura. So Laura got exactly same way of thinking as me. Observe your emotions and react with love always. Laura, I'm here, late but I'm here. The connection is very poor. Oh, that's too bad. Well, Alicia, thank you very much for being here, and to everyone else that joined in on the live over there and on our Zoom call too. Each of you have so much potential that I cannot wait for you to share with the world, because we need you. We need you strong, we need you whole, we need you happy, and we need you connecting to other people that keep you strong too, like those musicians are about to do for Laura. So before we bid you adieu, close it off, babe.
I just want to say, so grateful for you, Laura. You are such a wise woman. With your heart, throat chakra always amazes me. How many gifts just pour out from the beautiful alignment that you create between your heart and your mind and your soul, so that we can gather in this way. So I'm just So thrilled to have had this opportunity to share what's been my experience or my thoughts here on this pandemic, and how we can help each other get through and create the world that we really want. You know, this is just a tremendous opportunity for us to go deeper and feel the gift of feeling. So if we're angry, feel that. If you're, you know, feeling all desire, you know, a longing for connection and greater intimacy in all your relationships and all your friendships, let yourself feel that, so that you actually then bring thought into form and create it. Can't wait for all the hugs that we're going to have in the physical world once the restrictions are lifted. So thank you all for sharing your most precious gift that you have, your time, for this unity in community and creating the new consciousness that we have in our hearts in the real. So thank you so much, Laura. And thank you, Dean, and Gary, and everybody here, and Nate, so grateful. And AB, I don't know if that's Adam Bricker, but if that's you, thank you so much, brother, for being here. Whoever AB is, thank you.
One more thing. My theory is, if you got feet, don't waste the beat. Dance as you listen to music.
Love it.
Well, she is not going to waste any beats because she's going to go
Laura.
and see the musicians, and hopefully you can share some of that love with all.
Laura, give me a dance. Give me a move. Give me something. Oh, look at, hey, oh,
I love it. All right.
See that?
Sounds
Later.
good, guys. Thank you
Thank you.
to everyone here and over there too. Awesome. I'm glad you
Wow.
got the opportunity to hear from Laura, and I wish you all a wonderful evening. Namaste. The light in me honors the light in you. And as I say that, I feel like it should change from the light in we honors the light.
Woo! It's
Oh.
WWW stands for we. It's not about I, it's about we fit. God bless you.
Yeah.
May his face continue to shine.
Thank you so much. Laura, I'll stay on with you for a minute, or we'll connect after this.
Yes. All right. Sounds
I'll
good. I'm
leave.
going to just turn us off on Facebook Live. Thank you, guys. And I'll get the recording of this video where you can actually see the beautiful Laura Marcos there. So, toodles. Okay. And Zoom, we're done. Toodles. All right. Let's pause and stop recording. Great job.